Picture this. You walk out to your patio on a warm Saturday morning, coffee in hand. Your lemon tree is absolutely loaded. We're talking branches bending under the weight of fat, glossy fruit. Your neighbor leans over the fence and asks what miracle fertilizer you're using. And you smile, because you know the truth. You're not feeding the tree at all. You're feeding something invisible, something most gardeners accidentally kill every single season, without even knowing it exists. Now, I'm going to let you in on a secret that changed everything for me. Wait until you hear about the alfalfa trick at the end. It sounds too simple to work, but the science behind it is absolutely bulletproof. And the best part? You probably already have everything you need sitting in your pantry right now. So let's talk about why your citrus tree might be lonely, starving, and struggling, even if you've been dumping fertilizer on it for years. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Your lemon tree, your orange tree, your lime tree, they're not designed to survive alone. In nature, they have a partner, an invisible partner that lives underground, wrapping itself around the roots like a second nervous system. This partner is a fungus, not the bad kind that rots things. This is a good fungus, a helper. Scientists call it mycorrhizal fungi, but I just call it the tree's best friend. Now, imagine trying to drink a thick milkshake through one of those tiny coffee stirrers. That's your citrus tree trying to pull water and nutrients out of the soil with just its own roots. The roots are too thick, too short, and they can't reach far enough. But when this fungus teams up with your tree, it's like handing it a fat straw. Suddenly, the tree can drink deeply. It can reach nutrients that were always there, but totally out of reach. This isn't some gardening myth. This is science, real soil science. And it comes from a book called Teeming with Microbes, written by two guys who spent decades studying what actually makes plants thrive. They call it the soil food web. It's a whole underground economy happening right beneath your feet. And your citrus tree is the CEO. So how does this partnership actually work? Well, your tree is smarter than you think. It doesn't just sit there waiting for rain. It actively recruits help. Here's what happens. The roots of your citrus tree start baking cookies. I'm serious. Not real cookies, obviously, but something just as tempting to the fungi. The tree releases sugars, carbohydrates, and proteins out of its roots. Scientists call these exudates, but let's just call them sugar cookies. The fungi smell those cookies and come running. They wrap themselves around the root tips and start growing outward, creating this massive underground web. We're talking thousands of times more surface area than the tree could ever create on its own. And in exchange for those sugar cookies, the fungi go to work. They fetch water. They grab phosphorus, which is critical for flowering and fruiting. They even protect the tree from certain diseases. Think of it like this. Your tree is a grandmother baking cookies in the kitchen. The fungi are the neighborhood kids. They smell the cookies. They show up at the door. And in exchange for a snack, they mow the lawn, they fix the roof, they run errands. The grandmother doesn't have to leave the house. She just keeps baking. And the kids keep working. Everybody wins. This is how nature designed it. Your citrus tree was never meant to do this alone. It was always supposed to have this invisible crew working underground, extending its reach, amplifying its strength. And when this system is humming, your tree doesn't just survive. It thrives. It explodes with growth. It sets fruit like crazy. But here's the problem. Most of us have been accidentally firing the crew. Let me ask you something. Have you been using those blue or green bags of fertilizer? The ones that promise bigger fruit, faster growth, all that stuff. I'm not here to shame you. I used to do the same thing. But here's what nobody tells you. Those fertilizers are salts. Chemically, they're just concentrated salts. And when you pour them on your soil, you might feed the tree for a week or two. But you're also killing the fungi. Here's why. Fungi are living organisms. They need water to survive. But when you dump high-salt fertilizers into the soil, something called osmotic shock happens. The salt sucks the water right out of the fungi. It's like drinking ocean water when you're thirsty. It looks like water, but it actually dehydrates you. The fungi shrivel up and die, and once they're gone, your tree is back to drinking through that tiny coffee stirrer. This is why so many people say, "My tree was doing great for the first year, and then it just stopped." Or, "I keep fertilizing, but I'm not seeing any fruit." It's because you've accidentally destroyed the underground crew. You fired the neighborhood kids. Now the grandmother has to do everything herself, and she's exhausted. The principle here is simple, and it comes straight from teeming with microbes. Feed the soil, not the plant. When you feed the soil, you're feeding the fungi, the bacteria, the whole living web. And that web feeds the tree better than any bag of chemicals ever could. It's a system that's been working for millions of years. We just forgot about it. So what do we do instead? How do we rebuild this invisible web and get our citrus trees back on track? This is where it gets really exciting, because the solution is shockingly simple. We're going to make a tea, not for you, for the soil. And the two ingredients are alfalfa and molasses. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this sounds like some hippie nonsense, let me give you the science. Alfalfa contains a compound called triacontanol. It's a natural plant growth hormone, a fatty alcohol that acts like a wake-up call for your tree. It tells the plant, hey, it's time to grow, time to flower, time to set fruit. This stuff is so powerful that commercial growers use synthetic versions of it. But we're going to use the real thing, straight from alfalfa pellets. And the molasses, that's the fuel. Unsulfured molasses is packed with simple sugars. When you pour it into the soil, it feeds the bacteria and fungi. It's like throwing a party for the microbes. They multiply like crazy, and that whole underground web comes roaring back to life. This formula comes from a book called Gardening Goody, and it's been tested by thousands of gardeners. It works. I've seen it work on my own trees, and I've heard from people all over the country who say the same thing. Within 2 weeks, they see new growth. Within a month, they see flower buds. It's not magic, it's biology. Here's how you make it. Grab a 5-gallon bucket. Toss in about 2 cups of alfalfa pellets. You can find these at any feed store or online. They're cheap. Then add a 1/4 cup of unsulfured molasses. You can get this at the grocery store, usually in the baking aisle. Fill the bucket with water, give it a good stir, and let it sit for 1 week. Just let it brew. You'll notice it starts to smell a little funky. That's good. That means the microbes are waking up. After a week, strain out the solids if you want, or just pour the whole thing around the drip line of your citrus tree. The drip line is the area directly under the outermost branches. That's where the feeder roots are. That's where the fungi live. Pour it on slowly. Let it soak in. Do this once a month during the growing season, and you'll see a transformation. Your tree will start pushing out new leaves. The color will deepen. You'll see more flowers, which means more fruit. And the best part, you're not forcing the tree to do anything. You're just setting the table. You're feeding the crew, and the crew is feeding the tree. It's a system that runs itself. Now, let me ask you this. Would you rather keep buying expensive fertilizers that kill the soil, or would you rather spend $5 on alfalfa and molasses and let nature do the heavy lifting? I know what I'd choose. And here's the thing. Once you understand this principle, it changes everything. You stop thinking like someone who's trying to control the plant. You start thinking like someone who's farming fungi. You're not a gardener anymore. You're a microbe herder. Your job isn't to spoon-feed the tree. Your job is to create the conditions where the underground crew can thrive. And when they thrive, your tree thrives. This is the secret that nurseries don't advertise. This is the trick that makes a $20 tree look like a $1,000 showstopper. And it's so simple that it almost feels like cheating. So here's what I want you to do. If this makes sense to you, if you're tired of throwing money at fertilizers that don't work, hit that subscribe button. Because we're going to keep diving into these soil secrets. We're going to talk about compost teas, about mulching strategies, about how to turn your backyard into a food forest without breaking your back or your budget. This is the kind of information that changes the game, and I want to make sure you don't miss it. And here's my question for you. Have you noticed your citrus tree struggling, even though you've been fertilizing it? Or maybe you've tried this alfalfa trick already and seen results? Drop a comment below and let me know. I read every single one, and I love hearing your stories, because that's how we all learn. We share what works, we skip what doesn't, and we build better gardens together. All right, my friend, go grab that alfalfa, brew that tea, feed the fungi, and watch your citrus tree come alive. I'll see you in the next one.